What's up, everybody? It's Brenton from Forza Tuning and Performance, and I'm here for some more question and answers. First one is from Jefferson Hen. I have a tuned and pulleyed red eye and running a 180-degree thermostat. I forgot to mention I'm in South Florida. Should I be running a 160-degree thermostat? I prefer 160. That's what we always use here, 160. It's kind of depend on how your tuner has your fan settings set up. You want to always make sure that your thermostat is fully open. If you have a 180-degree thermostat, that means that the thermostat will open and be fully open at about 180 degrees. If the tuner has the fan settings set up to come on at, say, 185 or 190, that would be the proper way to do it. Basically, he's prolonging the fans from coming on where he knows that the thermostat will be fully open. And what happens if the thermostat is not fully open? So say he has the fans set for like maybe 180 exactly. You definitely wouldn't want them set lower. Then what could happen is the thermostat might partially be open, but not all the way. And the reason you don't want that is because you don't have a full flow of coolant throughout the engine block and the cylinder heads. So what can happen is you can get hot spots, okay? And what that is areas of higher temperature than everything else. And it's just from not enough coolant flow through all the water jackets, and you could potentially damage the engine like that. The temperature gauge on your dash or wherever it might be, usually in a general spot on the engine. So it could be in like up around like the intake manifold on older cars. It could be around the water pump, like in the Hellcat. And so it's only reading the coolant temperature at that one location. You could have a spot like in the back of the block or in the back of the cylinder head that's far away from that coolant temperature sensor, and you're getting a hot spot. You know, you're not getting enough coolant flowing through there to effectively cool down the casting, and you potentially damage the cylinder head. The car is meant to be, the coolant system to be flowing at full capacity once the engine reaches operating temperature. So just looking at the temperature gauge on your dash doesn't necessarily mean that all the areas in the engine are that exact same temperature. I use a 160-degree thermostat. I have the fan settings controlling where I want the engine to operate. That way I know without a doubt that the thermostat is fully open all the time. So I can use a 160-degree thermostat and I can keep the car operating between 181 and 185 degrees, which is what I typically do. Or if I want to, I can run the engine a little bit cooler even than that. If he has the fan settings set up properly, it might not be any different. So, you know, what you could do is basically kind of look at what temperature your engine's operating at. So if you have a 180-degree thermostat in there and the car is operating, you know, somewhere around 190, you'll know that pretty much that thermostat is all the way open and you're fine. If you have a 180-degree thermostat and your engine is operating right on around 180 degrees, that's where you're kind of like, is it the thermostat all the way open or is it not? So I hope that kind of clarifies it. If you need any more, you know, input on that, just let me know and I can, you know, be more specific about your exact application. Herman.nn. What breed is the Forza puppy and how much horsepower does he have? The Forza puppy's name is Striker and he is an American bully. I've had pit bulls for a long time, or American bullies, you know, is basically, you know, an offshoot of a pit bull. They're my personal favorite dog. They're extremely loyal. You know, they're really good companions. So that's what he is, and he's probably 4 months old maybe. I'd have to look, I can't remember exactly. But he's still a little guy, but he's coming along pretty good training wise. He's a good shop dog. And the last question is SR20 Guro. What is the difference between Stage 4 and Stage 4R Trackhawk, and what goes into every build? Okay, so the difference between the 4 and the 4R, I've talked about before. The power is basically the same, so the modifications are all driveline and reliability related. Okay, so it's basically set up for the guy that's going to be harder on the vehicle. We do stuff like drive shaft upgrades, brace the differentials, suspension upgrades. Any weak link in the platform is upgraded. We kind of see two different types of clients that want a 1,000 horsepower car. Some guy might want a 1,000 horsepower car and he likes the idea of having it, he wants the bragging rights, he's primarily going to car shows, stuff like that. He's not going to be taking it to the track or, you know, putting the car through a lot of abuse. You know, that guy is driving the vehicle and using it totally different than a guy that's going to have a 1,000 horsepower vehicle and take it to the track, do half-mile events, roll racing, street racing people. You have to take that into account. So, you know, what I do is I like to have a consultation with each customer and find out exactly what they're going to be doing with their car, and then give somebody the option. So if a guy is not going to be, abusing the car, and he's trying to keep within a certain budget, give him the most that he can get without spending money on stuff that he's probably not going to break. So that's the difference between those two. So I tell you what, for the next part of the question, as far as what goes into each build, I'll just take you through the shop and I'll show you how all the builds start. It doesn't matter what kind of car or what package, but start to finish, what happens when you first reach out to us, either by phone call or email, and we kind of discuss different options and packages, and we find out what suits your specific needs or what your goal is with the vehicle. Once we get that finalized, then we start the actual process. I'll show you what happens here at the shop and what goes on behind the scenes while we're getting ready to get everything ready for your package, all the way until completion, until you get your vehicle. So I'll show you what goes into it. Come on, follow me. I'll take you all over here to the beginning, where after somebody, we decide what they want and they go ahead and they put their deposit down. This is how we start the process. So we get a customer build sheet, and we'll show you over here. There's Logan working on a Demon right now. This is the one from Kuwait. Obviously it's a drastic build. It's getting full 10-point cage, motor, transmission, the whole 9 yards. So if you see all the stuff down here, these are all for cars waiting to come in. So if you look on the shelf, you will see the customer's name and then whatever they're getting. So basically, once the customer pays the deposit, we start with this, and this is what the technicians work off of. And then it has a parts list here, and then the associated parts with their name on it. And then once everything comes in, it gets checked off, as pieces come in, they get matched with POs. So then we know an exact day where all the components for the build are ready. And so they all go right here. And then this just all goes in order of, the date that they paid the deposit, so basically that's what starts the process. So you can see we are extremely busy. We have a ton of stuff back here. The shop is crammed full. We don't really anticipate any problems with the coronavirus. We have more work than we know what to do with. These are just kind of cars that are in process. Here's a Trackhawk with the supercharger off, so the stuff is in the process of getting ported and polished. This supercharger is getting modified for nitrous spray bars, so just kind of over here out of the way. See, every car gets cleaned and detailed before we even start working on it. That way everything looks nice in the shop. When fender covers get put over the fender of the car, there's no dirt on the car, nothing gets scratched, and all the cars stay on battery tenders here. I feel like it's super important. You want to be draining people's batteries down, tearing shit up. So these are all in various stages. This red eye is done, it's just waiting to be tuned. This Hellcat right here, these are both stage 4Rs. This one's done, waiting to be tuned as well. Then over here, these are where the cars get built. So here's two stage 4R Trackhawks. And then you can kind of see all the pieces laid out. There's a stock front drive. Here's a ported and polished front drive. It's already been modified, ready to go back on. This one right here, actually Logan's working on this one. This is a stage 4R. Obviously this is probably within a couple days of being completed. Here's the dyno. This is a Mustang all-wheel drive dyno. We just painted it red and black, of course, to match everything. And this is where the tuning takes place. Once they pay the deposit, they get a build sheet, and then they get a spot on a shelf. So we immediately order all the parts, get stuff built, build stuff, whatever needs to happen for different platforms. Once we have everything, then we set up transport usually and have the car picked up. Some people will drop them off. It's really whatever's most convenient for the customer. But the car will come in, and then it's gets disassembled, and we start the process. So we transition all the parts from that particular person's build from the shelf over to a build table. We build the vehicle, we put it on a dyno, tune it, and then transport usually picks it up and takes it back home to the customer's house. So I'll show you a stage 4R Trackhawk. You'll have seen this in the videos. So this is a stage 4R, and actually we just got done putting a Demon supercharger on it. So that's obviously not part of the package. But this is what a stage 4R Trackhawk consists of. Stage 1, which is the brisk racing spark plugs, the thermostat, security cable provided by HB Tuners. HB Tuners modifies the PCM, and then our custom tuning. It has an ATI 10% overdrive crank pulley and a crankspin pin, heavy duty supercharger belt, A full exhaust provided by American Racing Header. It's a custom header setup that they make for us with a 2-inch primary and a 3-inch collector, and then their full exhaust on the Trackhawk. And then it has our supercharger modification program. This one is done with a Demon supercharger instead of the standard Hellcat Trackhawk supercharger. So we went from a 2.4 liter displacement to a 2.7. It has our custom crankcase ventilation system on it. Also a cold air intake provided by Legmaker. Underneath, it's got front and rear drive shafts by Drive Shaft Shop, front and rear differential braces by B. Woody, has custom rear tow bars in the back for the suspension. And that's pretty much it. This particular one obviously has a lot of cosmetic modifications. It's got a Demon replica hood on it that's actual functional ram air made by SCL. And those are the guys in Russia. They do a really good job on this. Obviously custom wheels, it's been lowered. There's a lot of custom paint work, color matching. It's been debadged, and we do a custom rear filler plate in the back that eliminates the Jeep. Rear wiper delete has a lot of custom stuff. And Chad from Black Ops provided a lot of the carbon stuff, the lower splitter, the side skirts, the rear wing in the back. So he makes some really high quality stuff. And that's pretty much it. So this wraps up a Stage 4R Trackhawk. So that about wraps this up. A lot of you all know we were at a Speed Society last week, their headquarters, working on a super cool project for them. So that's going to be coming out very soon. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. That way, as soon as we start releasing footage of all that, you'll get a notification. You'll be the first one to see it. We got a lot of really cool content coming from that. And so y'all definitely don't want to miss that. So again, thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe.